Hello everyone, thanks for joining this quick video demonstration of ManageEngine PAM360. In this video, we're going to take a look at the different modules that PAM360 offers and what kind of capabilities are available in this PAM suite. So to begin with, ManageEngine has more than 60 plus point products focusing on various areas of IT requirement, starting from IT service management, IT operation management, endpoint management, and also IT security solutions. So this PAM360 suite is part of our IT security offerings. So the product comes with 6 different modules focusing on various areas of IT security and privileged access management. So the first module is privileged account governance. Under this module, you basically get the ability to discover all kinds of endpoints that are present in your IT infrastructure, including Windows machines, Linux machines, network devices, databases, or even cloud applications and their privileged accounts. So the purpose of this feature is to allow your IT administrators to consolidate all of the privileged accounts that are scattered across the IT infrastructure and take action against those accounts. So if there is a local account created in a particular endpoint, like a Windows server or a database, or if there's a service account created in your domain controller that is not being used anywhere. So this discovery capability will allow you to identify such accounts and take actions against them. And the second functionality of this module allows you to remotely reset all of these privileged account passwords on a scheduled basis and also on a bulk basis. So if you have Windows local administrator accounts or Linux root accounts or SQL accounts, the tool has the capability to collect them automatically and also allow you to rotate the passwords every 30 days or 45 days. So this will ensure your devices are in compliance to standard PCI or ISO requirements. It will give you a summary report every time a password reset schedule is completed. So you will be able to submit these reports for any form of audits that your enterprise faces. So this module is primarily focused on administrative and management capabilities that are available for the IT administrators. And the next module the product offers is privileged access management. So with the first module, IT administrators are able to take control of the privileged accounts that are scattered across the IT infrastructure. But with the second module, they are able to grant or delegate access to different users with different permission levels on a very fine-grained or granular basis. So there's a basic sharing functionality where you can take a collection of accounts and then share it with a collection of users that are onboarded from Active Directory. The solution offers AD integration with synchronization options. So any new member joining the team will be automatically onboarded into PAM, and any team changes that are done in Active Directory will reflect inside our PAM as well. So non-critical devices like workstations or test environment machines can be collected together, and the entire group of devices and accounts can be delegated with the end users. So you can provide them with view permission or change password permission, or if you have multiple administrators who would like to share the ownership, then one of the admins can discover the devices, collect it together, and grant full access to the other administrators. So this basic sharing would help you with devices that are non-critical and also devices that people frequently use on a day-in, day-out basis. And you will also have full auditing capabilities for it. And the second functionality in this module allows you to configure a request approve workflow. So this would especially come in handy for critical devices like Windows machines running mission critical applications or firewalls or databases that are hosting the databases for critical applications. So the idea with this workflow is users will have to put in a request before they can gain access to a particular privileged account. So the users will have the ability to request for a particular account for a particular time frame and also provide a valid reason why they are in need of the particular access. And this request will be automatically sent as an email notification to the approving authorities. We also have iPhone and Android apps in which the administrators will be able to review the request. So ultimately, the admins will see which user is asking for the password access to which account for which machine, and from which time. So admins will have the ability to modify the requested time frame and then approve the request. And only then the end user will have the ability to actually check out the password and make use of it. And there are features revolving around these capabilities like auto approval. So for example, if you know that a particular user will need access to a particular device over a weekend, you could pre-configure an auto approval. So during that time frame of window, you don't have to manually approve the request, as the system would be configured to auto approve those requests. And there's also functionality to extend the time frame with an additional 15 minutes or 30 minutes grace period. And you can enforce dual approvals in case a single device is owned by multiple teams. So the administrators of multiple teams will have a say on whether a privileged access should be granted. So this capability would be really helpful for mission critical devices so that they can be locked down and you will have a proper workflow before any privileged access is granted to these devices. And then finally, we have this just-in-time privilege elevation capability. So we have direct integration of ManageEngine PAM360 with our Active Directory management solution. So the idea is if a user needs an elevated permission on a temporary basis, for example, they would be able to log into our PAM and request for the privileged elevation. So for example, typically users log into their laptops with their own Active Directory credentials, and they might need administrative access to perhaps install some solution or a simple tool in their laptops. So in such cases, they would be able to log into our PAM and request for their own Active Directory account to be elevated to perhaps a local administrator group or a security group particularly created for granting installation permissions. So our PAM solution will talk to our Active Directory management solution to automatically elevate their user's Active Directory account, either in Active Directory groups or using the local groups present in the Windows server. So you could configure this privilege elevation for both domain accounts and also local accounts. And you could also configure the elevation to happen in Active Directory as a group policy or as a local security policy in the member servers. So this way, any user can be provided with elevated permission for a temporary basis, say for like 30 minutes or 45 minutes. And after that, their account will be automatically removed from those security groups or administrative groups that are created. So the third module the solution offers is privileged session management. So with this module, we allow users to be able to launch remote connections and automatically log into target machines either via RDP, VNC, SSH, or even SQL-based sessions. Our PAM solution becomes a gateway for the users to be able to log in and then remotely connect to the target source. When I say gateway, what I refer to is that the real sessions will actually be initiated from this PAM server to the target system, and the users get to see the tunnel division of it. And because of this, you can secure your environment by disabling the remote desktop services in all the users' laptops or desktops. You can also disable SSH permissions or provide or configure IP restrictions. So the user's own devices doesn't require direct connectivity to the target systems, because our PAM solution becomes a gateway where users will be logging into our PAM using their own Active Directory or Azure AD credentials, or perhaps with multi-factor authentication. And then they will see their designated machines to which they would be able to launch a remote session and directly work. And all the activities they perform during these remote sessions are fully recorded. Administrators and auditors will have the ability to play back and find out what happened during a remote session, especially for vendors or third-party contractors who are not part of your organization. You don't have to create Active Directory accounts for them or provide actual credentials in clear text. So these vendors or contractors or consultants can be simply provided access to our PAM. And when they log into our PAM, they will see the designated machines that they can connect to and they can use to perform their operations. And while they're working on the machine, the solution also offers administrators the ability to shadow the sessions in real time to find out what they're doing, and if they are doing something they are not supposed to do, admins will also have the ability to terminate the session immediately. And there's also application control capabilities where instead of giving a full-on remote desktop permission, you can control which applications can be used within an RDP session. Say, for example, you have a database engineer and the user is in need of access to a Windows server where a Microsoft SQL database instance is running. In this case, you could configure Microsoft SQL Studio, perhaps WordPad or Notepad as registered applications. You can configure it as a remote app and register it. So when the user launches an RDP session to that server using our PAM solution, these applications will automatically open. So the user is locked to use only Microsoft SQL Studio, WordPad, and Notepad. So the user cannot get out of these applications, go to control panel perhaps, or uninstall anything. So this grants you a fine-grained control of limiting the user's ability, regardless of which account is used for launching this RDP session. Once they're inside the RDP session, only these apps are allowed for this user's usage. And similar capabilities are also available for Linux SSH sessions, where you can restrict certain commands from being executed or allow certain commands to be approved. So, for example, you can restrict the RM command. So regardless of which account is used for launching an SSH, for example, the user opens an SSH session using the root account. Still, when the user tries to run the RM command, it will be blocked. So this gives you a fine-grained control of limiting the user's operations activities that are allowed, that are possible inside an RDP or SSH session. And then finally, we have jump server or landing server configurations, especially for devices that are residing inside isolated networks or demilitarized zones or data centers. So in most cases, these devices inside data centers or DMZ zones will be completely restricted, locked, perhaps with a firewall in front. There will be no direct connectivity to these systems. But with our PAM server, you will be able to create a jump server design where when a user tries to connect to one of these devices, our PAM solution will automatically hop through any jump server residing in between. So for example, you have a device residing inside the data center called D, and a user needs to get to those machines, and there is no direct way to it. So when they log into our PAM and when they launch a connection to machine D, PAM will automatically know how to jump from point A to point B, from there to point C, and finally take the user to the D machine that is actually residing inside the secure data center. So this type of configuration can be done for both Windows remote desktop-based connection and also for SSH-based connection, where our PAM solution will make sure to go through the right devices as jump server, and the right port and protocol can be customized for each of these hops before the connection is actually reaching the target machine. So that's the privilege session management module. And then we also have a direct integration with our advanced analytics solution, which is called ManageEngine Analytics Plus. The idea is to make sure that we take all the data points of our raw audits that we gather in our PAM solution. So for example, any activity that could possibly happen in our PAM solution is fully audited. And so we share this audit with our Analytics Plus solution for gaining more visibility and also for anomaly detection. So for example, the solution will take various data points like which user performed the operation at what date and time, what operation was exactly performed, to which device the operation was directed at, and various other data points. And based on this, for each operation, a risk assessment would be made, a risk score will be designated. And when the risk score goes beyond the threshold, for example, 85%, the solution will automatically trigger an anomaly. So over the course of our PAM usage, it will learn the user's behavior and pattern. So if your users are typically working from 9 to 6, that's the time frame during which they typically use our PAM solution, and they use regular operations like checking out passwords or opening remote connections. One day, some user decides to log into our PAM in the middle of the night, perhaps over a weekend, and they're trying to export some passwords. So our PAM solution will automatically detect this as an anomaly because it doesn't match the regular usage pattern of your users in large, and also this particular user, as this particular user typically uses the system only from 96 between the business hours, but today, or on that particular day, the user seems to be logging in at the middle of the night. So the risk threshold, the risk assessment score for this operation will go beyond the threshold, and our PAM will automatically detect this as an anomaly. So as you can see, there's a direct dashboard for this analytics. So once you integrate our PAM solution with Analytics Plus solution, this dashboard will be there, and our Analytics Plus will handle the operations of processing all of these raw audits and help you in detecting these anomalies. And then we have this SSH Keys and SSL Certificate Management module. With this module, you get the ability to manage the end-to-end lifecycle of both SSH keys and SSL certificate. So just like passwords, our PAM solution has the ability to rotate SSH keys across all of your Linux, Unix systems and any SSH-based devices. So you will be able to generate a public-private key pair based on your own configurations and settings, and you can also automatically deploy this keys to the target systems and associate with particular user accounts residing in these Linux Unix machines. And you will have various options available. So in some cases, you might have to append the key to the existing keys residing in the Linux systems, or in some cases, you would have to overwrite the keys residing in the Linux systems. But the idea is to make sure you have a centralized repository where you can store all your SSH keys and also administer them, similar to how you would administer your passwords across all of your other IT devices. And with regards to SSL certificates, the solution allows you to automatically discover the SSL certificates that are residing internally in your web applications, perhaps, or even in external websites that your enterprise use. Or you can import certificates in bulk as well, or discover them from your load balancer or from certificate authority or certificate stores. But the idea is to consolidate all of your active SSL certificates and start managing them. And when I say manage, the tool will know when the certificates are going to expire. It will automatically send out expiry alerts. It will check your certificates to make sure there are no vulnerabilities. Like last year, we had Heartbleed vulnerability and Poodle vulnerability. So this is an ongoing process, but our PAM solution basically monitors these certificates to make sure there are no weak ciphers used, perhaps. And you can also automate the full workflow of certificate generation. So typically, your users would could create a certificate request either using OpenSSL or KeyTool or any such a tool, and then the certificate request has to be submitted to your internal CA. And once the certificate is signed manually from the internal CA, they would be sending it back to you either using a file share or as an email. So these type of operations are it goes unaccounted, and it's also not secure to send certificates or certificate key stores through these channels. So with our PAM, you will be able to log in, create a CSR by just filling up the form, by giving us the details like the common name, SAN name, the validity that you need, and all of this information. And once you create the CSR, you can directly sign it using your internal CA by just providing your certificate server name, and by choosing the certificate template that you would like to use, you will automatically get the CSR signed and dropped into our console as a CER file or as a PFX file. In case if you also have the private key and you would like to download it as a key store, you can download it as a Java-based key store or a PKCS 12-based key store. And this certificate signing can also be done using any third-party CA. Like, for example, we have direct integration with Let's Encrypt, GoDaddy, VeriSign, DigiCert, and all the leading CAs. So typically, if you would like to order a certificate from GoDaddy, you would log in to GoDaddy website using your own enterprise credentials and then order a certificate. But with our PAM solution, you can store your GoDaddy account credentials and the key inside our PAM. And from within our console, you will be able to order certificates, renew certificates, or even revoke existing certificates. So that will allow you to easily get certificates signed, even using third-party certificate authorities. And finally, we have this smart workflow automation module, which allows you to take our PAM solution and integrate it with various other applications and appliances that you would typically have inside your IT infrastructure. So these contextual integration allow you to automate various operations that are typically done either as a manual task or using trivial scripts. So if your users use DevOps platforms like Jenkins, Ansible, Chef, or Puppet, we have plugins for each of these CI/CD platforms. So you no longer have to hard code credentials inside any of your automation scripts. So instead, our plugin will act as a broker where our plugin will securely communicate with our PAM application and fetch the credentials programmatically and deliver them to your automation scripts in real time. And aside from DevOps platforms, if you are using, let's say, PowerShell scripts or cron jobs or just simple Windows batch files that run on a day-to-day basis, and you have some credentials hard-coded inside them for those scripts to perform their operation. So in such cases, you can use our RESTful API or SSH-based CLI API to eliminate these hard-coded credentials. So instead of supplying the actual username or password inside your PowerShell, you can replace that with our RESTful API call. So when the PowerShell script runs, it is going to authenticate into our PAM and programmatically retrieve the password to complete its operation. So this will ensure that your entire infrastructure is secured so that the credentials are no longer hard-coded, and changing passwords of these accounts will no longer break your script files. And this can be used for various other use cases like automatically updating credentials in config files or connectors or any other files where you might have credentials hard-coded. And then there's robotic process automation tools like Automation Anywhere that are quite popular these days. A lot of enterprises use these RPA tools to create complex workflows and to automate a lot of complex operations on a day-to-day basis. So we have our own Automation Anywhere bot that again acts as a broker, which securely communicates with our PAM solution, fetches the required credentials, and then deliver it to other bots that you have configured to perform various operations. This again eliminates credentials being hard-coded inside your RPA and also changing the password of these accounts, be it a Windows service account or a Linux root account or even an SSH key, will no longer break your RPA workflows. And then we have integration with the IT service management solutions like Service Desk Plus, ServiceNow, Jira, Zendesk, or any API compliant ITSM solution. So the idea is when users log into PAM, and if they need access to a particular account or a device, they will be prompted for the ticket number. So our PAM will in turn take the ticket number and authenticate it against your own ITSM solution to make sure the ticket is open, it's valid, it's assigned to the same user, and various criteria that you could customize. If you're using any custom fields inside your ITSM, even those custom field values can be configured for criteria. Basically, you can have the entire workflow for request release to be handled inside your ITSM. So if somebody needs access, they raise a ticket and the ticket gets assigned to the right admins. They approve the ticket all within your ITSM. But by doing this, the user can be granted permission to a particular device or a particular credential inside our PAM solution. And then we have SIM integration where we forward all the raw audits of our PAM solution to any other SIM solution like Splunk or Sumo Logic or ManageEngine's own Logs 360 product. And if you are using ManageEngine's own SIM solution, Logs 360, you also get advanced event correlation. because of the fact that we have the raw audits of both PAM operations and the operations that are manually done in the device. We're able to provide advanced event correlation to give you the full story of everything that happened during a particular session, or for a particular ticket ID. We can easily give you the story of all the places the technician navigated and all the operations they performed just for a single ticket. And then we have integrations with vulnerability scanners like Insight VM from Rapid7. The idea is to automatically update the credentials inside the vulnerability scanner and their services so that they never fail to perform their operations because of the lack of credentials, or if the password expires or it never gets updated. We make sure whenever you change a password in our PAM, we automatically update it inside your vulnerability scan. And our solution uses dual layers of AES 256-bit encryption. And we also provide you the access to the master key so that you can securely store it outside the PAM server. And we have hardware security module integrations. If, for example, if you're using SafeNet, you will be able to securely store our master key inside your SafeNet HSM for managing it. We also support key rotation capabilities. You can even hand over one of the layers of encryption to be completely handled by this hardware security module so that your HSM will take care of performing the first layer of encryption and decryption before the data actually gets to the database cell, like SATA encryption. So in addition to these modules and capabilities, we also have other capabilities like dashboards for password activity and to monitor user activity. All our dashboards are interactive, and you will be able to see the live feed of what's happening inside your PAM solution and monitor the users and the passwords that are being checked out. And like I said, we have powerful auditing capabilities where you can search for the raw audits. You can export these audits as a CSV file or as a PDF file. And notifications can be configured for any operation, either specific to an operation or specific to a bunch of passwords, for example. So we can send out alerts, like if somebody touches one of the critical passwords, we can trigger an alert either via email, SNMP, or even send a syslog message to your ITOM solution, perhaps. And with regards to report, we have 100 plus reports available in our PAM. There are canned reports for all the common requirements like password inventory or expiry or compliance reports, user activity reports. But then we also have compliance report specifically designed for PCI audits, NERC, ISO, or GDPR audits. These are comprehensive reports that actually scans your devices to compare it against the PCI checklist of standards. And it will let you know how many devices are in compliance to the PCI standards and how many are in violation to it. If there is a violation, it will clearly give you the section number which the particular account is in violation to and how you can remediate the problem. So it's a very comprehensive report, and it's available for all of these audit standards. So there's also ISO, and there is also for NERC. So you will be able to generate these reports and submit it out of the box for any form of audits that you have inside your enterprise. And because our PAM is one of the mission critical applications, we also have various DR capabilities. So by default, we bundle our own tailored version of Tomcat web server and a Postgres database. And so any user who purchases the license can actually deploy this PAM in a highly available environment, meaning you can have two installations running in master-master mode, where the data gets replicated in real time between both these applications. So if one server goes down, the users will be automatically routed to the second instance where they can still check out passwords or add new devices and so on. But if you're a large enterprise and if you're looking for a more scalable solution, more expandable solution, then we also support Microsoft SQL Cluster or SQL Zone Always On Availability Group as a backend. So with this model, you can actually add as many application servers as you want, perhaps 3 or 4 or 5 app servers where you have our PAM solution deployed, and have all of these app servers point to the same SQL cluster backend. So this way you can expand the PAM's usage across multiple sites or zones or locations, and also have a highly scalable solution. So even if you have like 5,000 or 10,000 users logging in and checking out passwords, you will be able to easily load balance all of these requests by deploying 5 PAM applications, all pointing to a single SQL cluster. And then there is database snapshot feature that you could use in case if something goes wrong and you would like to rebuild the PAM server. You could use these database snapshots. And there's also a break glass capability where our PAM solution will periodically export all of your secured credentials as an encrypted HTML file with a 16-digit passphrase. So you can store the 16-digit passphrase as a hard copy, perhaps in a lockdown safe, and that's all you need. So in case there's a major disaster like Active Directory is down, no users can log in, or there's a power outage or a natural disaster, in such situations, you can simply unlock this HTML file so that you can get your passwords even when all of the systems are down. And we also have direct cloud integration where we could drop this encrypted HTML file automatically into your own Dropbox account or Box account or even an S3 bucket. So that way, if there is a big disaster, you can still go to your cloud server and just unlock this encrypted HTML file. And in terms of customizations, we support rebranding. We allow you to put up a legal content banner or even a privacy policy that every user should accept, and only then they could log in. Each user will have the option to customize and personalize the UI by choosing their own themes, logos. There's night mode. They can create custom columns to store custom values and customize the UI on what information they would like to see and where they would like to see it. And like I said, there's also iPhone, Android, and Windows apps. And there's also browser extensions for Chrome, Firefox, and Microsoft Edge, Chromium-based Edge. So these apps allow you to perform pretty much all of these operations just from your phone app. So a user could put in a request, or an admin can approve a request. If somebody needs to check out a password, all of this can be done using phone apps. And our browser extension act as instead of having the full UI open as a web page, you could use the browser extension. So as and when it's required for you to gain privileged access, you simply go to our extension, look up for the machine that you would like to connect to or check out the password, just push a button, it will launch the remote connection. So it's more convenient. And also our browser extensions help you with the autofill capabilities, especially for logging into internal web applications or even external websites. So you can launch the URL or the website right from our browser extension, or even if you directly go to the website, you will see our browser extension icons in the username password form. You just push that button, it will autofill the credentials and automatically log you into the website without you having to manually supply the credentials. So these are the core capabilities of our PAM360 solution. And thank you so much for your time in listening to our PAM. If you need more information, you can contact us and we'll be more than happy to schedule a more personalized demo for you and your team. Thank you.